Hello, welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom. Let's take a look at the headlines. Federal government raises alarm over surge in food importation. Governor Moino releases another 1.5 billion naira gratuities for retired workers. Plus, Russia's Supreme Court bans international LGBT movement, effectively outlawing activism. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First in the news tonight is on the national scene, where the federal government says there is an alarming surge of over 80% in food importation between 2019 and 2023. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Agri-Businesses and Productivity Enhancement (SSAP), Kingsley Uzoma, disclosed this at the National Policy Dialogue today in Abuja. The policy dialogue is tagged Deepening Partnership for Scaling Up of Information and Communication Technology for Development (ICT 4D) for smallholder farmers in Nigeria. It was organized by the federal government, the International Fund for Agricultural Development (IFAD), and the National Information and Technology Development Agency. He said that no fewer than 88.5 million Nigerians were faced with insufficient food consumption, while the figure was projected to increase by 6 million in December. Meanwhile, the federal government has freed 150 inmates from the Maximum Security Custodial Center Janguza in Kano State. The Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji Ojo made this known in Kano while releasing the inmates. Tunji Ojo, represented by the Assistant Director in the Ministry of Interior Anayo Romanus Nzekwe, said the release of 150 inmates out of the 4,068 nationwide was part of President Bola Tinubu's mantra of renewed hope. He said the federal government wants to decongest custodial centers and make them humane for proper reformation and rehabilitation of offenders to take place. He further explained that all inmates in custodial centers who have fines and compensation not exceeding 1 million naira were qualified and would benefit from this gesture. In the meantime, the federal government has reassured Nigerians that it will provide safe drinking water and effective surveillance to prevent outbreaks of waterborne diseases. The Director, Quality and Control in the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, Olu Daniel, stated this when he led a team of officials on an advocacy visit to the Kano State Ministry of Water Resources today in Kano. Daniel said the visit was to collaborate with the state government to prevent outbreaks of diseases such as cholera caused by contaminated drinking water. He said that the provision of safe drinking water and health services fell within the ambit of the ministry, hence the need to prepare ahead to ensure prevention and management. To Nigeria's leader, now President Bola Tinubu, who has met with King Charles III on the sidelines of the COP28 Climate Summit in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. In a post on his X handle, the president said he had a productive engagement with the 75-year-old monarch. Reports say Tinubu will deliver the Nigerian government's position on climate action on Friday as the rest of Africa and developing nations demand better deal in the quest to transition clean energy future. Recall that the president had departed Abuja for Abu Dhabi, UAE, yesterday, shortly after presenting his first ever annual national budgetary proposal to a joint sitting of the National Assembly. From the Red Chamber now, where the Senate has called on the Federal Ministry of Education and the National Universities Commission (NUC) to prioritize the issue of accommodation of female students on campus to guard against abduction. The resolution was taken today as part of moves to show solidarity with Nigerian women on this year's 16 days of advocacy for the elimination of violence against women. The lawmakers also urged the Nigeria police force to strengthen the prosecution process of perpetrators of gender-based violence to pave the way for the conviction. Additionally, the Senate resolved that the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons (NAPTIP) undertake a continuous review of the existing policies and laws on gender-based violence to accommodate best practices and strategies. Meanwhile, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio has identified how to stop insecurity in Nigeria. Akpabio said insecurity will stop when Nigerians support President Bola Tinubu and the efforts of the federal government. He commended the security agencies for their sacrifices in the fight against insecurity in Nigeria. The Senate President said he believes that insecurity can and must be stopped by all Nigerians. I'm from the Green Chamber, where the House of Representatives today passed the 27.5 trillion naira 2024 budget for second reading. Leading the debate on the general principles of the budget, House Leader Julius Ihovere commended President Bola Tinubu, noting that national security and education, which got significant allocations, will be enhanced if implemented. Meanwhile, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, has decried the exodus of medical professionals from the country. Speaking when he received a delegation from a Turkish company led by its president and member of board, Ahmet Kizilos, at the National Assembly complex in Abuja, the Speaker warned that the situation might lead to importation of health services. Kalu called for mechanisms and structure to be put in place to refill and replace, noting that the nation's problem is not with numbers but with skills. He expressed the Parliament's readiness to support efforts that will increase more skilled health workers in the country and curtail the mass exodus of health workers seeking greener pastures abroad. In the meantime, the National Assembly has said it will stop international oil companies operating in the Niger Delta from divesting their facilities if they fail to address the negative environmental impacts of their operations in their host communities. The Chairman, House Representatives Committee on Host Communities, Dumnamene Deko, stated this at a two-day technical session on the implementation of host communities development trusts. Deko expressed dismay that since the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act, rather than experiencing a better deal, communities had remained poor and in some cases worse off. He said the committee will use the instrumentality of the law to ensure that oil giants operate responsibly. Elsewhere, the House of Representatives has invited Acting Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission (NUC), Director General and Council of Legal Education over the termination of the law program at the National Open University Commission (NOUN). Others invited include heads of the Nigeria Law School, the chairman of the Board of Benchers, and the Vice-Chancellor of NOUN. This followed a resolution at a meeting between the Vice-Chancellor of NOUN, Professor Lufemi Peters, and some aggrieved final-year law students with the chairman, House Committee on University Education, Abubakar Fulata, in Abuja. The program was allegedly terminated by NOUN, claiming the University Senate's action was based on the directive of the Council of Legal Education. The chairman therefore urged the Minister of Education and heads of other relevant agencies to work towards eliminating the devastating menace associated with the fall in the standard of education in Nigeria. In another development, officials of the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA) and operatives of security personnel today uncovered an illegal oil refining warehouse in Mabushi opposite the mobile filling station on Amadu Bello Way in Abuja. The Director of the Department of Development Control (FCTA), Mokhtar Galadima, after the operation said the illegal refining site was discovered during the continuation of the city cleaning exercise. According to him, about 3 to 4 plots of land designated for commercial purposes have been converted to an area where oil and diesel are being adulterated and circulated to other parts of the city. Vladimir explained that the City Sanitation Task Force will look into the provision of the law and make necessary recommendations to the FCT administration for further actions on the plots used for the activity. Though there was no arrest, the items used in carrying out the illegal refining have been impounded. Meanwhile, the Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike has explained his decision to engage senior advocates of Nigeria to handle 800 litigation involving the administration, lamenting that lack of diligent prosecution of cases in the past by FCT officials led to the loss of numerous cases. Wike alleged that there were cases of complicity on the part of certain FCTA officials who connived with plaintiffs to get judgments against the FCT administration. The minister said this while defending FCT's 61 billion naira supplementary budget before the National Assembly committees on the FCT. The minister, who said the budget components were project-specific, added that President Tinubu would inaugurate most of them, including the Abuja Metro line, by May as part of activities marking the president's 1 year in office. In another development, the President Trade Union Congress TUC Festus Asifo has called for strict enforcement of the International Labour Organization ILO Convention C-190 and Recommendation 206, which seeks to address the rights of everyone to a world of work devoid of violence and harassment. He said it is only when such recommendations are implemented and enforced that gender-based violence and harassment in the world of work can be eliminated. Asifo made the call in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, while speaking at the 3-day 2023 annual seminar organized by the TUC Women Commission with the theme Projecting Ways to Eliminate Gender-Based Violence and Harassment from the World of Work, Implementation and Enforcement of ILO C-190 R06. The TUC president decried the attitude of ILO member states who violate R206, expressing concern that despite the treaty, violence and harassment have continued in workplaces. In a separate development, the Inspector General of Police IGP Kayode Egbetokun has approved the posting of Police Public Relations Officers PPROs to various state commands and formation to strengthen community engagement and communication. A statement by the Force Public Relations Officer ACP Olumuyiwa Dejobi says the newly posted officers and their respective portfolios include SP Ayuba Umar to PPRO, Zone 2, Lagos, SP Hawa Adamu to PPRO, Nigeria Police Cooperative, DSP Ejire Edeyemi to PPRO, Kwara State, ASP Una Echefunachi to PPRO Ebonyi, ASP Rufai Ahmed PPRO Sokoto, and ASP Musa Mohammed PPRO Liausa. Meanwhile, ASP Abuka Piers has also been posted as a staff officer to the Public Complaint Bureau of the Force Public Relations Department, Force Headquarters, Abuja. The Inspector General of Police emphasized on the importance of community collaboration in policing, urging the newly posted officers to work closely with the communities they serve. Now in politics, the crisis rocking the All Progressives Congress in Bauchi State has deepened as executives of the party today passed a vote of no confidence in its chairman, Babayo Misau. The APC legal advisor, Rabiu Garuba, disclosed this while briefing journalists at the end of an emergency meeting held at the next level secretariat of the party. He said that 27 out of the 37 executives of the party took the decision during the meeting because Misau failed in his responsibilities as state chairman, pointing out that this has caused the party losses at the last general election, especially the governorship election. In another development, the Ondo State House of Assembly and its Speaker has withdrawn its appeal filed before the Court of Appeal Abuja against the ruling of the Federal High Court Abuja, which stopped the planned impeachment of the Ondo State Deputy Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. The Ondo State House of Assembly and its Speaker had challenged the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court Abuja to handle the matter and appealed against the court's ruling halting the planned impeachment of the Deputy Governor. At today's proceedings, counsel for the Speaker and the Assembly, Remi Olatobura, told the three-member panel of justices of the appellate court that he has the instructions of his client to withdraw the appeal. The senior lawyer told the court that parties in the matter have found a political solution to their problems and have signed an agreement to withdraw the appeal. Away from that, Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State today presented to the State House of Assembly an appropriation bill of 703.03 billion naira for 2024 christened budget of sustained growth and development. Abiodun said the 2024 proposed budget has an increment of 230.78 billion naira compared to the 2023 budget of 472.250 billion naira. The governor, while presenting the budget, said a total expenditure of 703.03 billion naira is proposed for the state government in 2024. The proposed expenditure comprises 287.37 billion naira as recurrent expenditure and 415.66 billion naira as capital. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has directed the immediate release of an additional 1.5 billion naira for payment of outstanding gratuities of retired workers in the state. The Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Kerete Udo, who disclosed the news, said it was a further confirmation of the Governor's resolve to fulfill his pact with workers in the state. Recall that during his campaign, Pastor Eno had promised to continue paying backlogs of gratuities from where his immediate predecessor in office had stopped. Before the current release, 5.3 billion naira had been released by the Governor for retired workers in the state, an attestation to the Governor's humane disposition to the people of the state. A few weeks ago, an additional 1 month salary, otherwise called 13th month salary, or a number, was approved for civil servants in the state to bring Christmas cheers. Governor Moino has, in under 6 months in office, touched on the critical pillars of the Arise agenda, especially in rural development, education, healthcare, security, and infrastructural maintenance. Still to come in the news. Brent crude swings on OPEC Plus meeting. Do stay with us.
Christmas season is here again. Are you aware that making your business or products visible on a television space gives your brand a wider visibility and patronage? In the spirit of the season, Spectrum Television is offering a whopping 25% discount on all the services. Advertise your products and services while this offer lasts from 1st December 2023 to January 31st, 2024. We are a television with a passion to take your business and services on a satisfactory lane. You do not want to miss this opportunity. For more inquiries, visit our city office at number 2 Taft Plaza Close off Akaitinen Road, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, or call the following numbers on your screen. Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon. For premium broadcasts and entertainment, sports on the go, and news around the world, watch Spectrum TV on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and free-to-air frequency 12733. Visit our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon. One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Nigerian police force, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this
lord.
an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Every day marks a day of significance.
That in view of the apology tendered by this former minister who had earlier been cleared by this August Assembly,
As we face critical issues, developments and events which shape our social and political landscape here in Nigeria and beyond. Political Spectrum is a program specially designed to help make sense of all the moving parts of developments and occurrences in our nation's polity and political economy.
There is nothing wrong with Nigeria, but there's everything wrong.
The educational history of public figures holds significance beyond mere biographical details.
From executive, legislative and judicial developments at national and subnational levels to international diplomacy and relations.
Join us for exclusive interviews with key political figures, expert opinions, analysts, thought-provoking conversations for and against, shedding light on the major issues that matter. We will always keep you updated on the most factual, smartest and unbiased reportage.
Stay tuned to Political Spectrum. Political Spectrum. All sides matter at the round table. Political Spectrum. Exclusive to Spectrum Television.
Many thanks for staying tuned. We'll move on now to Africa, where Madagascar's army has warned against any attempt to destabilize the country after the island nation's top prosecutor announced that 2 officers had been charged with inciting rebellion before the November 16 presidential election. Reports say 10 out of 12 opposition candidates boycotted the vote following weeks of violent street protests. The Electoral Commission declared the incumbent Andre Rajoelina the winner, and the Constitutional Court is due to certify the results on Friday. Meanwhile, the prosecutor, Narendra Rakotoniana, said in a statement that 2 army officers had been jailed and would remain in custody until a hearing on January 16. She did not name the officers or provide their rank. Still in Africa now, government in the Democratic Republic of Congo has expressed regret at the European Union's decision to withdraw its electoral observation mission from the country. DR Congo is set to hold presidential and parliamentary elections on December 20, with 23 candidates running for president amid a tense political climate. In a statement, the government said it was committed to successfully holding the elections with transparency, inclusiveness, and freedom, as well as welcome all observer missions wishing to work in accordance with the laws and regulations of DR Congo. The EU said it withdrew its election observation team after it failed to obtain the necessary authorization to deploy essential communication equipment such as satellite telephones and internet kits. Meanwhile, a court in Germany has sentenced a Gambian man to life in prison for crimes against humanity and murder over his role in a notorious paramilitary unit. The man, identified as Baal El, worked as a driver for the squad known as the Junglers on behalf of the Gambia's former president Yahya Jammeh. In 2019, during hearings of Gambia's Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission (TRRC), 3 other members of the Junglers accused Jammeh of ordering numerous murders, including the notorious 2013 killings of 2 U.S. Gambian businessmen and veteran local journalist Dada Haidara. According to reports, among the crimes that Baal was accused of was helping to stop Haidara's car before he was killed and driving one of the assassins away. In the meantime, the Zimbabwe High Court has overturned a lower court's conviction of Job Sikala, the National Deputy Chairman of the Opposition Citizens Coalition for Change, CCC. He had been found guilty of obstructing the cause of justice. Sikala was in May convicted and fined $600 or 6 months in prison for obstructing justice for allegedly posting a video relating to last year's killing of Mo Blessing Ali. Another 6 months were wholly suspended on the condition that he must not commit a similar offense in the ensuing 5 years. But despite being exonerated by the court, Sikala remains behind bars where he has languished since his arrest in June last year because he faces additional charges including incitement to commit violence and disorderly conduct. Elsewhere, a regional court has dismissed a petition seeking to stop the construction of a controversial $4 billion crude oil pipeline from Uganda to Tanzania. The East African Court of Justice, EACJ, ruled that the case was filed too late and was therefore time-barred and beyond its jurisdiction. Meanwhile, the 1,443 kilometers East Africa crude oil pipeline, EACOP, which is being constructed by the Ugandan and Tanzanian governments along with Total Energies and China National Offshore Oil Corporation (CNOOC), has faced pushback from local communities and rights and environmental groups. The groups say the project is displacing communities from their land, desecrating graves along the pipeline route and causing environmental harm. Natural Justice and the other 3 civil society organizations that filed the case in 2020 said they would appeal against the decision. Still in Africa, South Africa has received a consignment of 450 gasoline generators donated by China to alleviate the country's severe power cuts. The generators, which arrived in South Africa, will be officially received by Electricity Minister Goshencho Ramogokpa. The country's presidency said the generators will be used as backup to alleviate the impacts of load shedding in the delivery of services in clinics, schools, and courts. Reports say the donation is part of the technical assistance program that China and South Africa signed during August's BRICS summit in Johannesburg. Meanwhile, the charity Save the Children says at least 23 people have died in a new cholera outbreak that hit communities displaced by recent flooding in eastern Ethiopia. In a statement today, the UK-based relief agency said more than 770 cases of cholera have been confirmed in just 2 weeks in the Somali region. The area was hit by the recent flooding and unusually heavy rains. According to the UN, the downpours have affected 1.5 million people across the country, with the numbers forced to leave their homes reaching 600,000. It added that only 10% of those affected are currently receiving aid, as Ethiopia continues to struggle with gaps in funding. Meanwhile, more than 90 districts across Ethiopia have reported cases of cholera, with Save the Children warning the situation could worsen as more rains are expected in at least 3 regions. In the meantime, Cameroon's Health Minister Dr. Manoda Malachi has urged the population to trust the government's health policy amid growing skepticism over the malaria vaccines which arrived the country 9 days ago. In a statement today, he detailed the benefits of the RTS vaccine in the fight against malaria, praising the outcome of the testing phase in Kenya, Ghana, and Malawi. According to the World Health Organization, the RTS can prevent around 75% of malaria episodes. Cameroon is the first country in Africa to receive the RTS vaccine since the end of the pilot phase. Meanwhile, a 70-year-old Ugandan woman has just had twins after becoming pregnant through IVF treatment, becoming the oldest woman in Africa to give birth, according to the hospital where she had the babies. The Women's Hospital International and Fertility Center in the Ugandan capital Kampala said Safina Namukwaya delivered a boy and a girl. Namukwaya told privately owned media that it was her second delivery in 3 years after she gave birth to a girl in 2020. She added that she had experienced multiple difficulties during the pregnancy, including desertion by the children's father. Elsewhere, 4 Moroccan migrants died off Spain's southern coast near Cadiz, with 4 others being taken to hospital for severe hypothermia. The bodies of the 4 who apparently drowned were found near their boat that had been carrying 32 other migrants. 27 of the occupants were reportedly forced by the crew to jump off the boat into the sea, and 23 of them were rescued alive. Meanwhile, the police have opened an inquiry into the incident. Off to the foreign scene now, Russia's Supreme Court today effectively outlawed LGBTQ+ activism in the most drastic step against advocates of gay, lesbian, and transgender rights in the increasingly conservative country. In a statement announcing a lawsuit filed to the court earlier this month, the Justice Ministry argued that authorities had identified signs and manifestations of an extremist nature by an LGBTQ+ movement operating in Russia, including incitement of social and religious discord. Although it offered no details or evidence, in its ruling, the court declared the movement to be extremist and banned it in Russia. Still on the foreign scene, former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, who played a pivotal and polarizing role in U.S. foreign policy during the Cold War, has reportedly died at the age of 100. He served as America's top diplomat and national security advisor during the Nixon and Ford administrations. Despite leaving office in the mid-1970s, he continued to be consulted by generations of leaders for decades. According to reports, the German-born former diplomat died at his home in Connecticut. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Davina Praise Omang.
Thank you, Xavier Roberts. Good evening. It is business news, and my name is Davina Praise Omang. In the news, Nigeria's price benchmark Brent crude price swung between gains and losses to trade around $83 and $81 a barrel today after OPEC Plus reached a preliminary agreement to implement an additional daily oil supply cut of 1 million barrels. The agreement is still pending a vote at the meeting, and the specific allocation of cuts among members and the impact of Russia's 300,000 barrel a day export reduction remain unclear. Still, the additional cut aligns with Saudi Arabia's previously announced extension of its voluntary production reduction. This development comes amid concerns about oversupply and a challenging economic environment, which have contributed to a recent weakening of the oil market. Brent crude futures fell more than 2% in the month of November. In Nigeria, the Abakaliki Rice Mill Owners Industry Association, in collaboration with the Ebonyi State government, has begun distribution of genuine bushel for measuring rice following the ban on the use of scaling machine. Chairman of the mill owners, Mr. Linus Obeji, spoke at the inauguration of the approved bushel in Abakaliki today. He said that the introduction of the new measuring device was in line with the association's move to sanitize the mill against fraud. Obeji noted that a task force had been set up to check and monitor all shops in the market to ensure compliance with the new order on the newly introduced genuine bushel. He said that the millers would punish any defaulter and urged all members to strictly adhere to the new order to boost sales. Still in Nigeria, FMDQ Exchange, Nigeria's security and exchange market, says its secondary market turnover in October grew to 21.7 trillion naira. FMDQ Exchange disclosed this in its latest markets monthly report for the month of October. This level of turnover in October represents a month-on-month decrease of 6.75%, worth 1.57 trillion naira, and a year-on-year increase of 60.27%, worth 8.16 trillion naira, from the turnover recorded in September 2022 and October 2022 respectively. Accordingly, the total turnover for the spot and derivatives market was 20.48 trillion naira and 1.22 trillion naira respectively in October 2023. Over now to the Nigerian stock market report. Today is the last trading day of the month, and a total of 540.085 million shares in 6,516 deals, corresponding to a market value of 10.243 billion naira, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 50% improvement in volume and 55% improvement in turnover. The current market capitalization of the stock exchange is 39.1 trillion naira. 114 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 24 gainers and 33 losers. Northern Nigeria flour mills led the gainers with 10% share price appreciation, closing at 35 naira 20 kobo per share, followed by Thomas White Nigeria with 9.62% appreciation and Mikio Industries with positive 9.09%. On the losing side, Secure Electronic Technology came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 9.72% at 65 kobo per share, followed by Unity Bank with negative 9.68% and Tantalizers with negative 9.43%. Guaranteed Trust Holdings recorded the highest volume of 67.2 million traded shares, followed by Universal Insurance Company with 56.7 million and Consolidated Hallmark Holdings with 46.1 million traded shares. Well, this is all in business news, and back to Xavier Roberts for the rest of the news.
Thanks, Davina. Still to come in the news. Super Eagles dropped 2 places in latest FIFA rankings. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. Move on now to health, where the Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Ali Pate, has said that the federal government would strengthen the workforce and reduce brain drain in the health sector. Pate said rehabilitation workforce and services would be strengthened to achieve universal health coverage, UHC. The minister, represented by the Director Regulatory Bodies and Professional Schools Division, Dr. Opipi Okbako, stated this at a 2-day stakeholders meeting in Abuja. He said integrating the World Health Organization Rehabilitation Agenda 2030 would address challenges of brain drain and improve access to rehabilitation services, thereby achieving UHC. Still in health, the United States Agency for International Development has urged victims of gender-based violence to seek help early and not die in silence. The mission director, USAID, Nigeria, Melissa Jones, said seeking help early was crucial because such violence thrives on silence, domination, and isolation. Jones gave the advice at a webinar organized by the mission to commemorate the yearly 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. The mission director said the stigma and discrimination that affected survivors of violence was painful, noting that the solution was for communities and other women to embrace them. Let's head over now to Utbe David for latest sports stories.
Hello, good evening and welcome. In sports, the Super Eagles of Nigeria have dropped by 2 spots in the latest FIFA ranking to place 42nd in the world. Super Eagles were unable to win their 2 matches played in the month of November against the Crocodiles of Lesotho and the Warriors of Zimbabwe in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier. However, the drop did not affect the team's placement on the continent of Africa, as it is remained the 6th team on the continent, behind Morocco, Senegal, Tunisia, Algeria, and Egypt respectively. The drop in ranking comes after the Super Eagles were held to a 1-1 draw in their 2 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying matches against Lesotho on November 16 and Zimbabwe on November 19th. Morocco remained Africa's best-ranked country in 13th position in the world and first on the continent, with the Teranga Lions of Senegal in the 2nd position in Africa and 20th in the world. Moving on, Liverpool goalkeeper Alisson Becker will be sidelined for at least the next 2 weeks with a hamstring injury. Alisson went down clutching his hamstring in the closing stages of Liverpool's 1-1 draw with Manchester City on Saturday. Speaking ahead of the Europa League clash against Lens later today, coach Jurgen Klopp gave an update on the Brazilian international. The timeline would likely see Liverpool's #1 miss Premier League games against Fulham, Sheffield United and Crystal Palace. Klopp will hope Alisson Becker will be fit in time for their game against Manchester United at Anfield on December 17. Finally, NBA Africa has announced that the new subsidiary has been established in Kenya with an office located in Westland, Nairobi. Nairobi becomes NBA Africa's 5th office on the continent, joining Cairo, Dakar, Senegal, Johannesburg, and that's South Africa, and Lagos in Nigeria. Inaugurating the new office, the first of its kind in East Africa, NBA Africa held a junior NBA clinic for 70 boys and girls ages 16 and under in Nairobi. The presence of 5-time NBA African champion Ron Harper was also there. And that's all we have for you in sports this evening. I am Mutabe David.
Many thanks, Mutabe. Now on entertainment news, Ugandan opposition MP and former music star Bobi Wine has made his first trip to the UK in a decade, more than 3 weeks after the UK government lifted a reported 9-year visa ban against him. Bobi Wine had allegedly been banned from visiting UK after the release of his 2014 song Burn Them, which rights groups said contained lyrics inciting homophobic attacks. Reports say he was denied a UK visa shortly after releasing the song, forcing him to cancel 2 planned shows in the country. At the time, the UK Home Office declined to confirm whether it had banned Bobi Wine's entry when it was contacted by a newsman. Recall that on 5th November, Bobi Wine, real name Robert Kyagulanyi, said that he was finally able to return to the UK. So on entertainment news, Afrobeat superstar Rema has cancelled his scheduled performances for the rest of 2023 to focus on his health. Following successful tours in Europe, Asia and North America, Rema's sudden announcement is reportedly a big blow for his planned homecoming tour of Abuja, Lagos and his native Benin in December. He was also billed to perform at the Hey Neighbor Music Festival, scheduled to take place between December 8 and 10 in South Africa. The decision to cancel his shows follows the latest achievements of his Calm Down song, making chart history on both Apple Music and Spotify. Meanwhile, Nigerian R&B prodigy Senth has resurfaced less than a year after making waves on the international music scene with his eagerly awaited sophomore project, Way Saucy. The EP, in collaboration with Umpire, serves as a crucial chapter in Senth's artistic journey, a testament to his ever-evolving musical ingenuity. Way Saucy not only underscores Senth's growth as an artist, but also offers listeners a rich, emotive experience. And lastly, on entertainment tonight, Olatosho Oshofa, the shepherd in charge of Celestial Church of Christ International Headquarters in Ketu, has strongly condemned the invitation extended to singers Portable and Pasuma to perform at one of the church branch's praise nights. Recall that the Celestial Church of Christ, Land of Goshen in Lagos, had on Wednesday shared a flyer of its praise night featuring Portable, Pasuma and Mayshore. The announcement, however, triggered a wave of reactions from many Nigerians on social media. While some described it as disheartening, others wondered if the house of God was now a place of entertainment. Reacting to the controversies on his Facebook page, Oshofa said he has spoken to the shepherd in charge of the above parish at length, that he has promised to make amendments to the posters. That's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You've been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert. Good night.